Karan, who's a close friend of mine, he calls me pre-therapy Kenny and post-therapy Kenny.
You walked in and I was like, oh my God, how exciting we're doing this again.
Yeah.
And it was so different from last time because last time I was panicking.
Yeah.
And this time I was just like, oh.
This time you're like a professional. You're like, hey, can we stop chit-chatting and get to the show?
Yeah, you made some bad jokes to make me feel better about myself.
I don't think I made any bad jokes. Is it like a match cut where you do this and then there's a...
No, we didn't bother. I have 5 voices in my head right now, something like that.
Oh, it's like Inside Out.
Yeah. Hi, Kenny. Welcome to The Curious Case of.
Thank you for having me.
Kenny is a comedian, and I know that's his main profession.
Yes.
But he sings really well, and his songs are really fun.
Thank you.
So I think he should also sing us a song.
Sing you a song?
But maybe not today. I won't put him on the spot.
Yeah. I'll hum something along the episode.
I'm sure you will. You'll start making weird sounds.
Yeah. That happens naturally. But thank you for saying I sing really well. It's a small, like, you know, I'm very insecure about my music thing. Comedy, I'm very overconfident, but music is like very close to my heart. So thank you.
He's also a dad.
Yes.
And here today I want to speak to him about his journey with therapy. So that's the
gist?
Not the gist. That's the capacity in which he is here for this conversation.
Yes.
It has nothing to do with the fact
My
that
mental
he's a
capacity is
comedian.
much smaller, but that's the capacity I'm in.
Last time you said you were at level 27.
I did?
Yeah.
That's a lie.
I said level 2, you said level 27.
Level in what? In what metric?
Boundary setting.
Huh?
Boundary setting.
Boundary setting. Oh, yes.
27?
Yeah.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
Better than me. So, what led you to start going for therapy?
Yeah, so I ironically went to therapy because I was getting stressed at work. And I noticed that I started having a sort of resentment for the audience, you know. I was like, you know, I started having this voice in my head like, you know, how much can I give? They're not satisfied. I do this, they want more. And I was like, but a voice in me was like, you don't feel like this about the audience. You like the audience. That's why you do comedy. So I knew there was like some dissonance happening. So I was like, you know what? Therapy had come up many times before. And like most people, I was just pushing it off. And I think my relationship ended and I was in a very bad place. And I was like, you know what? It's a good time to do therapy. So it was that. And I think I broke up and I was dating someone new and she was doing therapy. And she was like, oh, if you're considering it, please do it. So then that also pushed me to it.
And in your head, what was therapy?
It was an optimization thing. I was like, I'm going to optimize my work.
Okay.
So it was like an upskilling thing for me. It wasn't a self-care thing. It came from that.
Okay, so in your head, you thought you'd go and you'd get better at certain skills?
Yeah. Okay. How naive I was. I saw it like just another like diploma thing I'm doing, like a course I'm doing, you know, but I was humbled.
Okay. And how did you find your therapist? How did you go about doing that?
Oh, I haven't told this anyway, but actually Tanmay Bhatt recommended a therapist. And it was a challenge because I started doing therapy 6 years ago. And stand-up wasn't like a thing. And so we were like, Tanmay was like, this therapist understands the industry because he's gone to her and I think a bunch of other comedians have gone to her. So I was like, oh, great. So I don't have to explain to her the expectation and the nature of the job. I think it was just the expectation of the audience is really like weighing me down. And as a comedian, you really care because it's such a 50-50 profession. Like you say a joke, they have to laugh. That's when the cycle is complete. So I was like, great. So then Tanmay recommended, he was like, see how therapy is. You might not like the therapist. So if you don't like it, find another one. But I think I met her and I was very clear I wanted a female therapist because I felt more comfortable around like a mom figure. I knew I didn't want like a dude, you know, like an uncle. Because I'm also an uncle, So I think I would just awaken uncle feelings. So I think I want like a nice, she's exactly that. I want like a mom figure, but who's also like has his turn. So I like that about her. So I did 2 sessions and I was like, my God, she gets it. And she also came from a similar culture. I think she was also South Indian and she was also Catholic. So even like Catholic, there's a very famous, I think in the US, it's a saying like Catholic guilt is like a very famous expression. It's not very known. But I think the religion has certain aspects that make you feel a lot of guilt. I think inherently the teaching is that if you have sinned, it's not nice and you should repent, and that kind of leaks into everything. So then there's a lot of guilt associated with just living, guilt of not doing enough, guilt of not being nice enough. So you could do everything right and still feel guilty. So she understood that also. So I was like, this is great. She understands the industry. She understands South Indian culture of introversion, not showing off. That's also another big culture. So yeah, so it was a great fit.
So you went in with the expectation that it was going to be sort of like an upskilling thing. Yeah. What was the first session like? Were you nervous? Were you excited?
I was very nervous because I didn't know. Again, I saw this as I had to do it. Like it was all on me. So I was like, I hope I don't screw it up. So I had a lot of stress of like, I hope I do the right thing. And then the moment I went there, she was just like, oh yeah, I remember now. She said we have 2 approaches. Either we go back to the past and we reach this point, or we just talk about stuff from today and organically we will bring up the past when it's relevant. And she said, I would prefer the second approach. Are you okay with that? I said, yeah, that's fine. So then I said, I just have to, because I thought I had to give her my history. So I just spoke about the challenges I was having in that moment in my life. And then she used to like pick up on things like, oh, that's interesting that you see it that way. Can we explore that? And I love that, it's like my thing. I think as a comedian also, you're drawn to human behavior and why we do what we do. So I just enjoyed it. I couldn't believe this was therapy where the game was not external people. The game was I had to figure out me. But then that took a dark turn pretty quickly because they have to explore parts I don't want to explore.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So just because Kenny had a fun experience in his first session doesn't mean other people do. It's perfectly normal to have a first session and be like, that felt horrible.
Yeah, I've heard really bad stories. I had a friend who she went for a first session and she was talking about how I think she had intimacy issues with her husband, a new husband. And then the guy was like, that is normal. It happens to everybody.
No, I didn't mean in terms... So, yes, you can have a professional who is maybe unhelpful. But I meant
who's
even...
Tutty. But not a tutty therapist out there. Like human beings. There's a lot of tutty human beings. Not their fault.
Yeah. It's in all professions.
Yeah, all professions.
But no, I meant like even if it's a good therapist and it's a good fit, because therapy is about talking about parts of you that you're not necessarily wanting to.
Yeah.
You don't necessarily enjoy therapy.
No.
You can come back feeling like, oh my God, that was exhausting. And that is also normal.
Yeah.
So when you started, did you tell your family? Did you tell your friends?
No.
Okay.
No, I didn't tell anybody. I especially didn't tell my parents. I told my dad like, I think 2 years ago. Also, to be fair, I haven't told my mom. I don't think she wouldn't understand it if I told her. So my dad has a bandwidth to understand therapy. So I think I brought it up because he was having a tough time with his family dynamics that he chose to share with me, which was like very cool, where I think I entered an adult, because he asked for my opinion, like, this is going on, what do you think? So then I told him, this is what I do in therapy. And he was like, oh wow, that's so interesting. Friends, I think I got a vibe check first. If I guessed that they had a positive outlook to therapy, then I told them. And I just didn't, I felt like I didn't have to also. It felt like it's like a personal thing of mine.
Yeah. So maybe not like outwardly going and telling them that you've started therapy, but like, if it came up, like you have a therapy session and they've asked you to come for coffee.
I would say that I have a meeting.
Okay.
Yeah. Even my manager, I used to block out time, and there used to be like, I used to put the therapist's name, and they're like, you have this meeting with this person
Every week.
yeah. And I was like, no, that's actually my therapist. Yeah, there was some like taboo-ness to it.
Was there a certain point that went away, or a certain reason why that went away?
I'm not being funny here, but I used to do a lot of stuff that people thought was weird, and now it's cool. So I'm used to it. So I started meditating in 11th standard. And if you told a 11th standard kid that you meditate, he would think you're insane. And I used to not drink or smoke from a very young age, and I used to tell people it's bad for you. They used to be like, dude. So I was an uncle. And I used to save money and be like, you should, save for the future. And they used to be like, what? So I used to be like very annoying. But I knew what I was doing was very good for me. So I was just like, stop telling people. And then now everybody started talking about meditation. I was like, dude, I was doing it from 11th standard. And again, I used to lie about meditation. I meditate before, right after getting up, after brushing my teeth, before breakfast. The meditation I learned had to be done in empty stomach. So if we used to go on trips or we traveled for a project together, I used to lie about when I got up. So they would ask me like, what were you doing for half an hour? Yeah, so it's just so annoying. So then when the world started talking about therapy is like cool and it's fine, then even I started talking about it. Till then it was a secret of mine.
I know that last time we spoke, there were a bunch of things that you talked about that you learned and that was helpful.
Yeah.
And I was wondering if you could tell us again, about the people pleasing and what it means.
Yeah.
Because as you mentioned last time, it seems like a very non-problem. It seems like a small, funny, cute word to say,
Correct.
but it isn't necessarily.
Yeah, I think that the term people pleasing has to change because it seems like a cute problem to have. So I feel like you should change the term first so that you're not proud of saying it. Like, I'm a people pleaser. You should be like, oh, I internally destroy my self-worth. That should be the term. So then you won't be proud about it. I've noticed most women are people pleasers. Most moms are people pleasers, I've noticed. Again, I'm just generalizing. But yeah, people pleasing is basically you are so concerned about other people's feelings, you don't want to disappoint them, you just want to make them happy all the time, that you disregard your own needs. And in the beginning, it could seem very selfless, which always confused being selfless. And this is who I am. I just care about everybody. And it's okay. I don't need this. They need it more than me. What eventually happens is you build a lot of resentment and you become a hollow shell of yourself. You become unhappy. And it becomes a habit that you can't break. I'm happy that I'm starting from this side, which is the people-pleasing side, and not the self-obsessed side, because people pleasers tend to have a lot of friends and, a lot of social relationships because they're like trying to make everyone happy, versus like you have no friends, you have to work on that and work on yourself. But yeah, it's a terrible place to be in.
Can you give us some examples of people pleasing?
Like family wants to come stay over, and that particular week is just too hectic, and you're like, but it's family, so we will say yes to them, even though when they come here we will just be so annoyed at them that they're coming when you're so busy. I'm like, they don't know this. You have to tell them like, we would love to have you, but this week is hectic. Does not mean we don't value you, but then you let them come, and then everything just builds. Like, they want breakfast. Okay, now we have to make breakfast. But obviously they want breakfast. So that's one example. Another example is I've heard people at work being like, I don't want my boss to think I'm in it for the money and not asking for a raise. Because he's like, I want my boss to like me more than I deserve to be paid for the work I'm doing. Another example of people pleasing is
Having a child.
having a child because of pressure, that this is what I'm supposed to do. My parents will get really happy. Even in all these situations I've said are people that you know, which affect us a lot. But I've noticed even like with strangers, if somebody cuts a line in front of you, if somebody bumps into you, if somebody is rude to you, just you can acknowledge it and you can be like, excuse me, please don't cut the line. But you're like, I don't know, I don't want to look like I'm that person. Or you're at the restaurant and the food's bad and you want to send it back, and or they got the order wrong. It's just you like, I want the waiter to think I'm the best customer. Just it can even happen with people you don't care about. So these are examples of people pleasing, which just build into resentment and can really eat you up.
And you were saying that you didn't necessarily know the term until you went for therapy.
Yeah, I don't know what. I just thought I was a nice guy. I was like, hey, it's just my personality. I like to make everyone happy, which is also a personality, but it was very linked to I wanted to please everybody around me. I don't want to disappoint anyone. And I was like, where is this coming from? Therapy. Did therapy got to the root of it?
So if we're talking about the kinds of things that therapy helped you with and what it kind of did for you, I guess putting words to some of your behaviors was helpful. Yeah. Can you just tell us a few other things that you...
So that I worked on in therapy?
Or that you found helpful?
I think a big misconception with therapy is that a therapist just wants you to keep going to them forever. And that's not true at all. Like, the therapist is actually actively trying to train you to self-therapize so that you stop coming to them. I've not been going for therapy for the past year and a half. And I thought I would, because we had a baby and I thought there'll be a lot of conflicts that will be new to me. But it's just the fundamental tool she has given me. And one tool, which just works like a charm, is the mind map, where sometimes when you're in a situation, for example, let me give a specific example where, let's take the family wants to hang out, but we don't have the bandwidth, but we want the family to come. So then you just make like a center mind map of family coming over. And really, I know, some people are listening to this right now and they're like, this is dumb. You have to make a mind map to figure. But when you're in an emotional situation, your emotions kind of club and become like this muddled mess. And you're just feeling the emotion and you don't know why. So if you're in a calm situation, this seems really dumb. But when you're in a tense situation where you're feeling overwhelmed, just writing this down, like family coming over, and you just start breaking it down. What do you associate with family coming over? And I would make like responsibility of a son, taking care of them when we are tired, and you start writing all of this down. And as you write all of this down, two things happen. One, you realize that you've just said one thing in 4 ways, which is maybe fatigue. You've just written fatigue in different ways. And another thing that happens is like, oh, I've identified the top stressors. And like one stress would be like, I have to drop them everywhere. And if you have the money, just hire a driver for the day. Hire a car, which is very affordable now. And that peace of mind of like, if my mom or dad want to go somewhere, I've hired a guy for the day. I don't have to physically go now. That gives me time to help around the house. Meals, like, oh, they want home cooked meals. You can find a home cook who can send you food for the week. Then you realize, it was just these two. It was not the whole thing. And so that's a tool I use to self-therapize, which is just make a mind map. Another thing is confrontation. Part of people pleasing, we don't like to confront. So a technique she taught me was, I think you can't be feeling it and have the conversation. So I do this in my stand-up special also, is that we talk about it when things are going fine. When you're having a good day and things are fine, then I'm like, hey, that day this thing happened and we can fought a bit. And the other person's always receptive and they're also in a good mood. Another thing was work hierarchy really freaks me out.
Okay.
Where I had trouble. I was like, everybody's equal. Everybody's equal, But I had to understand that for things to happen, there's a hierarchy at work and it's okay. You're not being mean by assuming a position of making decisions. It was very hard when like someone, for example, we were doing a shoot and the cameraman is like, hey, how about we do this? And I hate the idea. And I don't think it's good for the project. And I was just like, but I want them to feel like they're also contributing. But I'm like, no, you have to assume the role of a leader. And if you say don't, no, that doesn't work, you're not dismissing them. And that was another thing I had to work on. Hierarchy at work.
Yeah, that really like happened to me a lot in the beginning, because I was like, mental health company, everyone must feel respected and equal. And
Imagine if someone
and they should,
Yeah.
but the definition of respected and equal isn't necessarily just say yes to everyone for everything.
Yeah.
But I know one of the things you had mentioned earlier to me is that just having some of the vocabulary would help you, because therapy is not going to solve all your problems. And sometimes, and it takes time, right, to solve, to find the adjustments that work for you.
Yeah.
It doesn't necessarily happen as soon as you've talked about it. But there is something that happens once you have words for it. And you had talked about how it gives you that distance. Can you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, I know. Again, someone listening to this will be like, isn't therapy just people talking? And I think a study, I don't know how you'll find this, you can Google it. They did a proper study of that when human beings verbalize an emotion, the emotional pain attached to that feeling or memory actually reduces. It's like a factual thing. That's why verbal therapy works so well. And that's why when you talk to a friend, you feel so much better. So like we are social verbal creatures. I didn't know what I was feeling. You know, like I used to feel like this heaviness in my chest. And I didn't know what that was. And now I literally, because of therapy, I stop and I'm like, I'm feeling heaviness in my chest. What could it be? What has happened in the last 15 minutes that I have this heaviness? And then I'm like, what did I do in the last 15 minutes? I'm so used to convincing myself to be in a good mood that I just stop introspecting my feelings. So then I'll be like, what did I do in the last 15 minutes? And then I'm like, oh, my dad called and my dad said he can't make it for this. And then I got sad, but then I immediately cut the call and I had to get an auto and I just forgot about that sadness. So I'm sitting in the auto and I'm feeling the sadness, but I don't know. So then it's so bizarre. I had to teach myself to assign words to feelings. So like if we're in the kitchen and Trace is doing something and I mean I'm just being an ass, but she didn't put it back to where it was. I just make like I just like have a tick in my face. And I don't know that's irritation. But I'm just feeling the feeling without a word or a feeling attached to it. And it's so bizarre. The moment you attach a feeling to it, oh, it's irritation. And then you feel fine after that. I don't know why that works. That's also therapy works, is like, people are like, well, my problem hasn't gone away. But just being aware of what the problem is and how it's making you feel much better, even though nothing's changed. So I'm still irritated that she didn't put it back where she picked it up from. But at least I know what I'm feeling. I don't know if a lot of people can relate to this, but growing up, I was always told to not waste time feeling shit. Just get on with it. So I just lost the ability to identify what I'm feeling. So now I have got that skill back.
Mm-hmm. And based on what you're saying, it's not necessarily that you do anything about it, or it's not necessary that then you yell at them.
Yeah.
It's more that it was a confused feeling that was not being identified, or you also didn't know what it was.
Yeah.
And then you kind of put words to it, and then you can decide how you want to react. Whether it's just a, hey, can you put it back?
Yeah.
Or it's a, I'm going to now do silent treatment.
Correct,
for the next.
I think I have a hierarchy. Like, I feel like irritation, everything doesn't have to be acknowledged. So if it's like irritation, I feel like irritation is like it's something that you shouldn't dwell on. If it's disappointment, then I'm like, oh, I need to talk about this, because disappointment is up there. Betrayal is up there. But like irritation, annoyance, fatigue Fatigue also, you shouldn't get into it. Like, am I actually irritated or am I just tired? So if I'm tired, I just dismiss it because I'm like, if I sleep and I get up, I know the same thing won't affect me. Which
So
is
then you know it's a you thing and not.
yeah. But if it's betrayal or disappointment, this is a both of us thing. She does not know I feel disappointed. She does not know I feel betrayed. I have to tell her that. Now, when I identify the feeling, I know what my action is.
So it's less reactive.
It's less, yeah. Oh, I think that's just the challenge, which is being an adult. Like now that we have Emily, as a parent, Tracy and I were talking about this. Emily does this thing where she scratches her face when she doesn't get her way, which all toddlers do that. Like she's holding something she's not supposed to be taking. Like she holds a fork and we take it away. She immediately scratches. The rage you feel when like you're protecting your kid and the kid scratches you for protecting them. And it's just like if you're a parent, the rule is you have to regulate your feelings. There is no. This is the responsibility you've taken. You cannot lose it in front of your kid. Because the kid is allowed to have irregulated, non-regulated feelings because they're a kid. The adult has to regulate their feelings. That's just how it is. So you can't...
You go to the other room and have dysregulated feelings.
Yeah, but the kid
and
can't...
deal with it.
Yeah, the kid can't be like, wow, this adult has no control over their feelings. So that's the essential therapy, I think, motto. That we're all adults with unregulated emotions that nobody taught us, or we didn't have a good parental or family figure to teach us that. So the goal is fundamentally that. How do we regulate our feelings?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or also they just didn't know either.
Yeah. Nobody did.
But now we do. So can we all learn, guys?
Yeah. I just want to add one more thing. Because I've been doing therapy for so long, I've been through the cycles of introspection so much. And I've reached a point where I also feel millennials, I mean, you're younger, we don't have to fix everything. Like, I think a very specific example is I'm 34. A lot of my friends are looking to get married, are looking to settle down. And the anxiety they feel is financial, where a lot of them are doing arranged marriages or are meeting the parents. And the parents are stuck 40 years ago where houses were cheap, cars were cheap and stuff. But they're like, oh, you don't have a house? You have any plans of buying a house? And that anxiety is like, I shouldn't let it affect me. I'm going to figure out a financial plan to buy a house. I'm like, some problems is not for you to solve. It is unaffordable to be financially stable in your 30s like our parents did. Right now, both people need to work. A lot of my friends who are married cannot afford to have a kid because if one of them stops working, they can't run the house. And that's not your fault. And you don't have to fix that. So I also feel like because of doing therapy I was in one phase where I was like, I'm going to fix everything. And I realized that it's not needed. It can be a little crazy.
Yeah. Also, you might realize that you didn't necessarily want to fix that. It was an expectation. Yeah. And you don't necessarily need that for you to feel happy and for you to have the quality of life that you're looking for. Yeah. So I think, I always feel like it's important for people to realize that while we're having these mental health conversations, it's not so that we tell everyone to go for therapy. It's because more and more people are feeling distressed more often. And that's because of the environment. So like COVID really threw a lot of people off for valid reasons. Social media and the digital world it's new. So we haven't necessarily figured out how it works. And so it's not everybody go for therapy. It's helpful to be aware of what's going on so that you can decide when you might need help, when you don't need help, and when it's fine. You're not supposed to be mental health all the time. You're supposed to live your life also. Like life is meant to be lived. That's the first part. I really want you to tell the rickshaw driver example because it happens to me also, and I think it's completely bizarre, and I think it's a very doable exercise.
Yeah, so when at the peak of my people pleasing, I could not say no to anybody around me. So then my therapist was like, wow, we need to, how do we do this? So she came up with this really ingenious thing. So she was like, why don't you take an auto and for no reason keep asking him to stop? And I was like, but that's so mean. She's like, no, this is an experiment. Try to get some jobs done on the radio location. So if you have to buy some groceries, like don't be insane, don't inconvenience him for no reason. Pick up groceries in the middle. Just ask. Worst, he'll say no, and you have to get down. I was like, okay, cool. So then I took an auto and I was like, I want to go to St. Andrews or whatever, St. Peter's Church. And as we're going there, I'm like, I'm going to ask him to stop at the grocery store. So as we reached the thing, I was like, sir, एक second यहाँ रोक सकते हो मुझे कुछ खरीदना है. And he was like, ठीक है. And he stopped. I was like, what? Then I got down. I said, sir, 5 minutes आ रहा है. I was like, sir, कोई problem नहीं. And then I go in and I'm just standing looking at him from the... I was like, he's still there? I was like, not only did he say yes, he's chill and he's still there. Then I bought the stuff, I came back in, and I reached St. Peter's and I came out. I said, sir, thank you so much. And he's like, okay. And that's when the worldview completely shifted. That it's all in my head. And people are adults. And if they don't want something, they'll tell you. So if I said, yeah, रोक सकते हो, and it's happened once in a while where I say, sir, आप यहाँ रोक सकते हो, and like, नहीं sir, यहाँ पे बहुत traffic होता है. Can we stop? I was like, he said no, and he gave me a solution also. And that's something that Tracy and I constantly talk about. I'll give you another example of the auto thing only, where I did the auto thing with my wife, I like unintentionally, where when we had Emily, the nights are so tough where Tracy's not sleeping. So the previous day when she slept, she had a lot of energy and she's like, let's go for a coffee date tomorrow. And I'm like, yeah. So I have to call up and find out a place and book a coffee place. And the next day she's not slept. And like 1 hour before we have to go, I just like casually mentioned like, hey, yeah, going for the coffee thing. She's like, I can't do the coffee thing. I said, oh yeah, of course. And then, which I also didn't acknowledge. It made me feel sad. But I'm like, Kenny, you've not given birth to a kid. Your feelings don't matter. Shut the hell up. You're sad. That also had to work on that. I'm allowed to feel sad. Even though I didn't push a baby out. And this kept happening 3-4 times where she used to say, let's do something. And I used to plan it. And then we had to cancel. So then obviously I was like, I think we can't do dates anymore. So stop suggesting and planning. So when her birthday came, I assumed that she doesn't want to do anything. And then as the birthday was approaching, I just had a little more emotional energy to just ask. And she was like, I really want to do my birthday. And I was like, oh my God, holy shit. I really thought you don't want to do it. She's like, why would you think that? I said, no, because, four of our coffee dates we have cancelled. She's like, yeah, but, I really want to make it happen. And it makes me also sad that we have to cancel. But I really want, somehow, brute force, can we make a plan happen? So I said, got it. So I did like a mission, And then I also told her I was feeling sad that we were cancelling. And she's like, oh, I'm sorry. But, I was like, I fully get it. I just had to tell you. Then we did the birthday. It was great. Even though she was terribly tired, but we had a nice, fun birthday. Yeah. So the auto thing is that it's just say it, and the worst case scenario you can totally handle. Which is another thing my therapist taught me, is that anytime I was scared of a situation, she was just like, "What's the worst case scenario? Can you handle it?" And I was like, "Oh, worst case, I'll lose this project." And she's like, "Can you handle it?" I was like, "Yeah, I can handle it." And it never happens. The worst case never happens.
And even if it does, you can handle it.
And I can handle it. So, yeah.
We also talked about, overcorrection during the initial phases of therapy.
I still have some.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
So, as you saw changes in yourself and you learned about all of these things, I remember I was like, now I must tell everyone everything I feel every time I feel it.
Yeah.
And sometimes you don't have to.
Yeah.
So yeah, can you talk a little bit about, how you felt like you would overcorrect?
I think there was a point, I think 2 years in, where um, I was seeing the fight through with my friends. If I had a fight, before I would just like get the point across and drop it. Then I got into the phase of like, they have to really understand where I'm coming from. So then the fight used to get prolonged because I'm like, I don't think you fully understand where I'm coming from, and because for so many years I always ate up my side of the story. And I used to let them have the day in the sun where they used to talk about, you did this, Kenny, and then this made me feel like this. And I has to be like, okay, I'm sorry. And I also felt bad. And let's just stop. So then I has to be like, you're going to know my entire side. And I felt like my friends felt like I was being too intense. So then once we had to do a rehearsal and a friend of mine was like, okay, let's do this time. And I said, oh, I go to the gym that time. They're like, yeah, so what? Just push it. And then I like gave them a lecture that the gym is very important to me. Okay. I don't compromise on the gym. And they were like, oh shit, okay. And then I was like, why am I like yelling at my friend? Because I felt like they're not considering what's important to me. When they were just like being normal human. Yeah.
I guess even if what you're asking for is not necessarily a lot,
Yeah.
when you've been feeling resentful for so long, the way in which you ask for it
Yeah.
is the more maybe unnatural
Yeah.
part. Because you could have told your friend in a very calm manner that, it's really important to me that
Yeah, I could have done.
I take care of my mental health and go to the gym. Can we please reschedule? Versus yelling at them about it.
Yeah, I could have been
Because
like, hey man, it's really important to me. I was
all
like,
of the resentment
the gym
comes
is really
out. We also talked about how sometimes we realize that, okay, this is a relationship that's not serving me.
Oh.
And I've tried
Yes.
to talk to them about it.
Yes.
Because, I mean, maybe this falls under people pleasing, but I think even if you're not like a chronic people pleaser, this is something that a lot of people struggle with, because with films and stories, it's kind of the good thing to hold on to all relationships and hold on to all friendships. So if you make a friend, unless something severe, unless severe betrayal has happened, you can't break a friendship. And to realize that you don't necessarily have to be like, you don't let me go to the gym and you don't get that this is important to me, so I'm never talking to you again. Versus just like slowly distancing yourself from the people who you realize have different priorities from you.
Yeah.
And to be like, it's okay that I don't have to stay friends with all my friends in the same way that I used to be friends with them. And that friendships can evolve, and some relationships you might end up losing, and it's okay.
Yeah. I don't know where I saw this. I think I saw it on another podcast where they're like, do you have a friend? And when they call you to hang, you're like, I have to hang with this friend. So you don't have to hang with them. It's like, you shouldn't feel like that. And you don't have a duty. And then and one way to be like is like, why am I feeling like this? They are my friends. So there must be some scenario where I like hanging with them. Then you think about the scenario and you're like, oh, this is my sports watching friend. I should watch a game with them. I should not go for coffee or lunch with them. And as you said, it's like everyone doesn't have to be your best friend. You can categorize them, and some friends. Friendship breakup is tough for everybody. Like nobody's taught us how to break up with friends. But as you said, you don't have to break up with them. You can compartmentalize them. It's kind of like sugar. It's like, sugar's bad for you, but it's very tasty. So you don't have to completely cut off sugar. You can have sugar once in a while. It won't kill you. So even if sugar you can have once in a while, even that really, really toxic friend, you can meet them once, Yeah, you don't have to cut off anybody. It's on you. So like I have some friends who I know if I call them and if they don't pick up and I text saying, hey, it's urgent, they're going to call back. And there are some friends, I could say it's urgent and like the next day they call back. instead of me being upset that, oh, I have this one friend who calls me back and this other friend who takes a day, put that takes a day friend in a different category. And it's a little sad. You feel sad, like, oh, they're not my urgent friend. But then you're like, oh, if I have a plan that's loose, they'll be there and there'll be a fun hang. And if I need a shoulder of support, this 5-minute friend is there who's going to respond in 5 minutes. You also kind of know, you kind of made
A judgment call.
yeah. So it's friendships, as you said, you don't have to end them. But yeah, if a friendship is not good for you, and I don't think it's worth telling them, I feel like you don't achieve anything except making yourself feel better
And hurting them.
and hurting them. So you do it internally where you're like, I can't depend on them, so I'm not going to call them as much. And if they ask why, you don't have to say it unless you feel like they can really handle it. Yeah, that's another overcorrection of like, you don't have to be honest. And
That was one of the weirdest things I learned in therapy, that you don't always have to tell the truth.
yeah,
In the sense, don't lie.
yeah,
So that's not to say lie. It's to say, why are you telling this person this? Are you going to get something? Like, is it going to change the situation in any manner? And your reason could be, I want them to know that I'm feeling this way. But then that would change how you communicate it to them. Versus, I'm telling them this because I want them to change in this manner. Or I'm telling them this because it's going to affect our plan 3 weeks down the line. Or it's going to affect some other decision. Versus telling them because you're feeling guilty, nothing's going to come from telling them except that they're going to feel hurt. So then that's your guilt that you're trying to alleviate yourself from. So I was like, oh, okay.
yeah. Also, remember, guys, people don't change.
That is untrue. Please don't listen to Kenny on that.
Okay, the positive spin to that is, if they do, that's amazing. But don't expect them to change.
Sure. I think that you can change yourself.
Yeah, you can change yourself, but people don't change, bro.
That's counter to what you're saying, Kenny. People can change if they want to change. And
Yeah,
so if
but
they're not...
I just feel if you expect, you
think
just disappoint yourself.
No. So I'm not saying expect other people to change, but I think there are two things. There's a will and then there's a skill. So like there's some people who may not be changing because they don't want to, or because for whatever reason they're not ready to. And then there's some people who aren't changing because they don't necessarily have that skill. But like sometimes you have grandparents who've been brought up with a certain mindset, and it's not like they're not changing because they don't want to.
But don't you feel like there's also spoken about in therapy, which is, I think I have made a mental cutoff of 60.
Okay.
If I meet someone above 60, I don't expect them to change. I'm like, it's too late for them. And if they do, it's like amazing miracle, but just accept them for their really fuck all old school views, because they have come from a very insane generation of a lot of trauma and hardship. So I feel like older people, though, I have no expectations. When I meet like a young person, I have that hope. If you really want me to admit it, I think if I meet like a 21-year-old, I'm like, oh, you have the ability to change yourself, so I will maybe say the truth to you. But if I meet somebody like in their 30s, 40s... 50s,
I mean, I think it depends on why you're telling them the truth and why do you want them to change. What's the point? And so the reason I stopped you was because if you say that nobody can change, then people feel that they cannot change. If you truly want to change, you can. Only if you want to.
I mean, if you have the balls, change and see. It's tough, bro.
It's tough.
It's tough.
But it can be very helpful.
Yeah.
And you should
It'll
change
benefit everybody around you. But you don't do it.
Okay, then. Where are you at right now? So you mentioned that you aren't going for therapy any longer.
Yes. Because I think she's taught whatever the conflict I've reached so far in this one year of being a dad, I could resolve through the technique she taught me. But it's always like... it's always nice that I have access to her. Like sometimes when things get bad or I feel overwhelmed, I just do like a check-in with her. And it's great to have somebody who has so much context and knows your struggle. So it's not like when I say I've stopped going for therapy, I'm never going to see her. It's not a sign of failure to go back to her, It's just, I've reached something that even I can't figure out. I need some help. And it's always fun. So I think she'll hate that I'm saying this, but I think she's now also more comfortable to be a little more blunt with me. And so now she just makes jokes like, you wanted to be a dad. She would never do that before because she was like, she knew I was really sinking. But now she's like, you have that ability to float.
Capacity.
Yeah, to hear this as well.
Yeah. So in that sense, where you're at with your therapy now is that you realized that you learned whatever it is you needed to learn. You were emotionally supported and heard when you just needed that emotional support. And you're able to, use the learning. So like I said, you need help till you need help. And then if you don't need help anymore, you don't need help anymore.
And it's also very, I think I usually go to her is when my energy has been depleted.
Okay.
When I don't have the energy to self-therapize. That's when I think it's like when it's really tough.
And also that it's not like things stop happening.
Yeah.
It's just that now you've been equipped and you have the internal capacity to deal with it. But if new stuff happens,
I would say
it might be different.
So we're on Earth and most of the conflicts haven't escaped the atmosphere, so I can handle it. I think when it does is when I'm like, okay, I need help from the International Space Station, who's my therapist. And then she kind of extends my atmosphere even more. And then I'm like, oh, no, that if it comes again, I know how to handle it. And as you said, things keep happening. So hypothetically, if you have a second kid, I'm like, I will need her help again. But right now, things are pretty much, I can handle them, I can understand them. And more importantly, I know what I'm feeling. So it's not like the thing goes away. I think, to be honest, I'm just so happy when I'm just aware of what's happening. That just puts me at ease, even if the problem is still there. So if the past month has been hard and I identify why it's been hard, that, it's because Tracy's not got sleep and that's making me sad, but I also have work, so I'm going away and she has to work more. And I'm like, this is why you're feeling heavy. So the problem's still there, but I just feel that it's not an unknown.
It's not uncertain. There's less uncertainty.
Yeah.
And then you could potentially choose to make different decisions.
So then I start cancelling a bunch of work so that I'm home more. Then we try to see how we can increase Trace's sleep. And we can try to see, is something bothering Emily? That's why she's not sleeping. It becomes very tangible. It doesn't seem like raising a child is hard. It's like, no, it's just, let's get to the specifics. Yeah.
Is there anything you want to add about, going for therapy, struggling with making that decision or anything?
Actually, I just wanted to, I really liked what we spoke about the last time we met. And I think the whole thing of a lot of people, when they hear therapy, their immediate response is like, this doesn't work. I don't think it'll work for me. How do I find the therapist? It's expensive. And you said something that there are so many people out there who already want to do therapy and focus on that instead of focusing on the people who are dismissing it and are finding excuses to not do it. And that really calmed me down because a lot of my friends, I'm just like, dude, if you go for therapy, this will really sort this out. But they're like, but I don't know. I tried it once. It didn't work. Before I used to still push. Now I just like, so you don't want to get better. You don't want to put the energy into improving your life. Or you just don't think your feelings are that important. And if you don't think that I can convince you that your own mental health is not important to you, then... But the day you do, I'm here for all the help you need. And I think I spoke about it last time also, that I had a friend who was diagnosed with depression in school and he just ignored it. And now he's 33 and now he's going for therapy. And I just for years said, please go for therapy. And he's like, yeah, I'll go. And now he has, and he's transformed. Also, again, it's not a miracle. Therapy is not a miracle. Like, he's a very focused man as well. So I knew that if he did it, he would really work on it. So he really made the most of therapy. And I can already see him blossom and flourish. And I was like, there was nothing I could have done to speed this process up. It was all on him.
Yeah, I think I know that you find it very irritating when you can see someone and you see potential, or for whatever reason. I think with strangers, it's more like, why don't you get it? And then with people who you love, it's more like, it's really painful to see you go through this.
Yeah.
Why won't you accept the help? But I think for your own mental health, it's, realizing that they'll ask for help when they're ready.
True.
And different people have different reasons for not asking for help, which we're not necessarily able to empathize with. It can be really annoying, but like, I know that in the middle, I got very snobby about therapy and mental health. And I was like, why aren't you doing all of these things that you should be taking care of yourself? But then I had to be like, I don't get to choose what you want to do with your life and what quality of life is acceptable for you. If you're happy with where you're at, then who am I to be like, no, you're not happy.
No, but you keep coming
change.
back to me with the same problem all the time. I'm not talking about you. I'm saying the friend who needs therapy clearly. And
True.
They come back with the same exact symptom.
Yeah. And then it's realizing, is it helpful to keep telling them go for therapy?
Yeah.
Or is it helpful to sort of listen to what they're trying to get from this?
Yeah, I feel like it's a fine line between helping and enabling.
Oh yeah, for sure. And you kind of have to figure that out.
Yeah.
But also, I think the fight, at least in my mind, is to make sure you create an environment where at least there's no stigma, and that you're making that room for them to ask for help if they want it.
Sure.
And like you said, we can't control other people. Not that other people don't change. Okay, at the end of every episode, we do a fun thing where...
But the whole episode is fun.
That's true, but we do an additional fun thing because there's stationery involved. So it automatically becomes more fun.
Of course, universally fun.
Yes. So at Agatsu, we have a proposition to people called emotional hygiene.
Okay.
Basically, little things that science that we've actually found that you can do to take care of yourself when nothing necessarily bad is happening. Just the small little things that come and go in your day-to-day life. And one of them is sort of perspective shifting and noticing the little things.
Okay.
So we get writing pads and really fun sketch pens.
Oh, wow.
They're triangular shaped. And we have to write anything that was not bad. It was either good, it was interesting, it was normal.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Oh, the pads are here. Oh, damn.
Love it.
So cool.
So cool. Kenny's match cut.
Oh, wow. That's not fair. That just happened 5 seconds ago.
So?
Cool.
And my silk shirt.
Yeah, dude.
So fun.
Really vibing with the silk shirt. Mm-hmm. Okay. Emily learned how to do a flying kiss today.
Oh.
Yeah. Trace teaches all her this cute stuff. So she was like, today morning, she's finally learned how to do a flying kiss. And I was like, oh, and then she did this. That's the first thing. Second thing was I had really good chai. So we have a very nice cook, and the chai is very unpredictable. So one day it's very bad, one day it's insanely good. And today was an insanely good day.
Do you want to sing us?
Oh, I also wrote silk shirt. I wrote silk shirt.
No, he didn't. He's lying. Do you want to sing us a song?
Oh, only if I had a guitar. Oh! Awesome. I'm going to make the Curious Case ka theme song. It's the Curious Case of with Ira Khan. Ira Khan? Ira Khan. Yeah. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank you for watching The Curious Case Off with me. In the description below, there will be links, further reading, summaries, guidelines, resources, everything that we could find and put together that we think you might find helpful. Just to reiterate that everything that is said in the episode as well as in the resources below should not be used to self-diagnose. If you have any questions or queries, please reach out to a mental health professional who is qualified. And if you like the episode, then like, share and subscribe to Agatsu Foundation, our YouTube channel. And if you want to know anything more about the organization, then you can find out at www.agatsufoundation.org.